Connor Long from Jets X Factor joins us now. Connor, why aren't you 21 yet?
Jake, I wish I could be there with you guys. I'm sure it'll be a blast. I'm sure it will be fun. A ton of incredible, like you said, content creators, reporters, super fans. A ton of my colleagues from JetX will be there. So I hope everyone who's going has a great time. And thank you for having me, Jake. Looking forward to chopping up with you. Shout out to everyone still supporting the show, all the Asmaniacs. This is, Jake, as we were kind of talking about beforehand, where the real true supporters who bleed green still come out and join a Jet show on June 27th on a Saturday morning when there is literally nothing happening in Jets land. So appreciate you having me and looking forward to going back and forth.
I feel bad for you, man. You're a tortured sports fan. You're a Jet fan. You're wearing a Mets hat.
Yep.
And you're not even a Knick fan. You're a big Nets guy. So you didn't get to enjoy the Knick championship. I mean, the pain that you've gone through at such a young age. You got the Evan Roberts teams. It's brutal.
No, dude, it's brutal. I'm not a Knicks hater though, so like I couldn't root for them against the Spurs. That couldn't happen. Well, when they won, it kind of gave me a glimmer watching everyone celebrate what it would be like if/when the Jets win a Super Bowl in our lifetime. 53-year drought. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Coming from a Nets fan, Knicks fans are some of the best fans in the world. The dedication that they had filling the arena when it was, 20, 25 game win seasons. And again, it's positivity for the Jets. I mean, James Dolan was once at the point of hatred that Woody Johnson's at right now. So got to hope that the Jets could turn it around and follow suit. But yeah, I'm happy for all the Knicks fans out there, and it kind of united New York in a way. I think in a day and age where there's so much division in really every aspect of life, especially in the state of New York, I feel like it kind of brought the whole city together, which was really great to see.
There's no doubt. And shout out to you for continuing to crush it with all your Jet content, Nets content, still making sure you get good grades in school and all that. You're going to a broadcaster camp this summer. Connor's actually, I wanted to have him on because it's been a little bit. It's been so busy, and Connor's going to be filling in for me next Wednesday doing a show because I am speaking at a sports media conference in the city next week. So not doing shows Wednesday. So let's get Connor on so the Asmaniacs can remember this young kidder now has this deep voice who's doing a great job covering the New York Jets over at JetX. And you wrote a great story that we'll break down on the show. I'm going to put it up on the screen so people can read the full article. We'll post the link in the live chat. 3 reasons why the New York Jets offense will improve in 2026. So we'll go through each reason. But before we even do that, just general state of the Jets. How do you feel about where this roster is at going into training camp next month?
I was actually talking about this with a former Jet the other day. It's like I feel like every year this is the time where, you criticize the offseason moves. Oh, I wish the Jets drafted this guy, or that guy. I wish they went after this free agent. And then there's kind of all this dead time in June and July, and us as fans and analysts, we look back and are like, oh, you know what? This could actually equate to a more positive result. You know what? The Jets made the right decision here. They made the wrong decision there, what have you. So I feel like this is the time of year where we often get delusional and raise expectations when nothing is really happening just out of the spite of it because we need something to talk about. But I think this year feels different, and I know that might not be what Jet fans want to hear, but I wrote about this a few weeks ago as well. There's a huge difference between this year's Jets roster and last year's Jets roster. Last year, they had a lot of young guys on the team who had not established themselves in the NFL, whether that had been guys added on the free agent market or day 3 picks, late day 2 picks. They were expecting to take on large roles last season. Obviously, that didn't work out. They tried to sign a quarterback and avoid the passing element of things with Justin Fields. Now the Jets have taken a more balanced approach. And when you talk about their roster construction, their approach this offseason was much more cohesive. They brought in a ton of young talent through the draft, 3 first-round picks, 4 selections in the top 50, guys who are going to come in and help you win right away. They have a draft pedigree. And then to boot, they added a ton of veterans who are established on the free agent market. I mean, most notably, look at the defensive side of the ball. Even a guy like David Onyemata is one of the best run-stopping defensive tackles in the league. He's going to help you tremendously in that area. I think a lot of people forget the Jets were the 4th worst team against the run last year. Kingsley Enagbare, Joseph Osai, they're going to help you with that off the edge, kind of aid Will McDonald's struggles in that area. Demario Davis remains one of the best linebackers in all of football. In the safety room, you have Minkah Fitzpatrick, again, an all-pro level safety, who is one of the best in football, who's going to give you a huge boost on the back end of the defense, can also play nickel corner for you. Dane Belton is an under-the-radar move that I've spoken about, as a guy who has a ton of turnover upside, is going to force fumbles for you, is going to compete with Malachi Moore for that starting strong safety job. And then, of course, at quarterback, you hope this off-field stuff can blow over with Geno Smith, but regardless of what he actually plays like, and I wrote this in the article, it's going to fall somewhere in between of what he was like with the Seahawks and what he was like for the Raiders. I doubt he's going to be as good as he was with the Seahawks. It's possible, and I doubt he's going to be as bad as he was with the Raiders. I think it's going to fall somewhere in the middle, as it often does. But at the end of the day, the Jets have a quarterback who can throw the football. The Jets did not have that last year with Justin Fields. Geno Smith, during his time with the Seahawks, consistently graded out those 3 years as one of the best deep passers in the league. Why we've seen these highlights of him and Adonai Mitchell, in these offseason workouts. So I'm looking forward to this year. I think there's a lot of reason for optimism. It's hard for me to put an exact win total on what I think they're going to do, but at the very least, they should look like somewhat of a competent football team in multiple different areas, largely due to the way they approached roster construction this offseason.
All right, Asmaniacs, listen up for a second. No matter what you're watching, whether it's New York sports or any game you didn't plan on caring about, there's no better way to stay locked in than with PrizePicks. It's daily fantasy made simple. You're just picking more or less on player projections. That's it. No complicated lineups, no nonsense. Just you versus the numbers. And here's why I love it. Even if it's a game you normally wouldn't care about, once you got a lineup going, you're locked in. Every play matters, every drive matters, every at-bat matters. I've been mixing sports too. Maybe a little football, throwing some baseball, maybe some basketball, and now you've got action across the board all night, and PrizePicks makes it even better with features like early cash outs if your picks are hitting, the ability to mix multiple sports in one lineup, and you can even see what other people are playing and tail their picks. So if you haven't tried it yet, what are you doing? Download the PrizePicks app right now. Use code HMA. That's HMA. And you'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, it's HMA on PrizePicks. PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. All right, Connor. So in terms of your story here, the headline again was 3 reasons why the New York Jets offense will improve in 2026. And your first reason is the offensive line. We know the Jets locked up Joe Tippmann. They brought in Dylan Parham to replace John Simpson. What is your expectation for the Jet offensive line? Are they good? Are they very good? Can they be top 5? Can they be great? Just your overall thoughts on just where the offensive line actually is in your assessment.
I think they fall somewhere, Jake, in the 10 to 15 range when all's said and done, in the top pass protection categories, run blocking things, whatnot. I think overall it's somewhere in the top 10 to 15 range. And last year, it's actually hard to assess the Jets offensive line based on pure metrics because of how long the Jets quarterbacks held on to the ball. A lot of the numbers are skewed against the Jets linemen because a lot of quarterbacks were at fault for sacks last year. Brady Cook, Justin Fields, from time to time, holding onto the ball for 3+ seconds and making the Jets offensive line look worse than they actually were. I think the fair assessment is in the 10 to 15 range. At the very least, they're going to take a stride forward. They're still young. They're still ascending. All the 4 of the 5 starters from last year are returning. The only change is at left guard with Dylan Parham, who last year graded out better than John Simpson in almost every category. The Jets objectively got him on a better deal than the Ravens did for Simpson. He's younger. Durability-wise, they pretty much are equal. I think Parham has the potential to be a free agent steal this offseason. I think he's going to be an upgrade over Simpson at left guard. So you're making an upgrade there. The Jets are going to have a quarterback in Geno Smith who's going to get the ball out of his hands quicker. We saw what Breece Hall could do playing behind a competent offensive line for the first time in his career, as I noted in the article, set a career high for single-season rushing yards. So the offensive line ascending not only wins you games in the trenches, but it also opens up the rest of the offense, and that's going to allow Breece Hall to contribute out of the backfield as a rusher and as a receiver. It's going to allow Geno Smith to have some more time to connect on deep balls downfield, make decisions. So having an offensive line, as you guys know, that is sustainable, that is producing at a high level consistently not only wins you the game in the trenches, but also unlocks the rest of the offense.
Now, last year, they lost AVT right before the season started. But then after that, the same 5 guys started every game. Your thoughts on just the depth behind the starters? Because obviously, I don't know if you could bank on having the same type of starter health once the games become reality once again.
I wrote about this a couple weeks ago as well. I think the interior depth, most notably, is a concern. You have Enes Cooper, Max Mitchell, Landon Young, Cole Lavau, Xavier Newman. Those are the 5 guys who are your backups on the interior of the offensive line. Landon Young is the only guy on that list, I believe, who has played over 30 snaps at the NFL level. I think it was 880 in 3 seasons with the Saints, and they were not great. He did not grade out well. They picked him up after rookie minicamp, or I believe it was, and he kind of got a tryout there, and they're giving him an opportunity now on the 90-man roster. I think there's legitimate reason for concern there. Someone who could potentially be cut this summer, who I keep an eye on, is Anthony Bradford. He was on the Seahawks starting offensive line this past year that won the Super Bowl. He wasn't great. He committed a lot of penalties. He didn't grade out particularly well, but as a backup, he perfectly fits what the Jets need, not in the starting role, but in the backup role for the inside of this offensive line. The depth does concern me because, like you said, Jake, last year the Jets got really, really lucky. They had the same 5 guys trot out every single snap from weeks 1 through 18. So I think that is a concern for sure, and one I think the Jets can still address at some point throughout the summer around cutdown day, because guys who aren't expected to get cut end up getting cut and go out and help a team contribute in the regular season. So I'd monitor the cutdown day market, waiver wire after the fact. That's definitely going to be important for the Jets to beef up at areas like the interior of the line, maybe adding a linebacker or two who's a veteran and has proven himself before. I think, though, there's definitely reason for concern there. And even at the tackle spot, Chukwuma Okorafor, that was a highly polarizing free agent signing last offseason. We didn't see him in action this year. You don't know what he's going to bring you if he is get forced into action in exchange for Olu or Membu. So definitely reasons for concern on the depth front, Jake.
The next part of your story talks about the new quarterback replacing the old quarterback. That's Justin Fields. Geno Smith ups the floor. We know he's significantly better than any quarterback, including Tyrod, to be fair, that they played last year. But what are you personally expecting from Geno? And for the sake of this conversation, let's just say that he's cleared, exonerated from the legal situation that is following him. So your thoughts on what Geno, after breaking down his career, his last few years, last year, what went wrong, and how he fits with the Jets. What are you expecting from him?
Yeah, so when you talk about Geno, the first thing that jumps off the page when it comes to his fit with the Jets is his strengths align perfectly with the play calling tendencies of Frank Reich, which is great because there are only a few players in the league, quarterbacks in particular, who could thrive regardless of scheme. So at first, and Geno isn't one of them, at first, him having that alignment with Reich is awesome to see. Also, the routes that Reich likes to call and that Geno likes to throw happen to also be a fit with Garrett Wilson. So you kind of have that 3-way connection there that I think is going to be really, really, really helpful for Geno. It's going to make Frank Reich's job easier. It's going to give Garrett Wilson the potential to have his career best season with arguably the best quarterback he's played with in his career, hoping he can revert back to his level of play with the Seattle Seahawks. And as I mentioned in the column there, the Jets are the perfect destination, as I just spoke about, for Geno to get back to that level of play. If he's going to revive his career and get back to that form, there is no better destination than to do it with the Jets because of the offensive line, because of the ecosystem they have, because of the play caller that they currently have on their staff. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to fall somewhere in the middle. I don't think he's going to be as bad as he was last year with the Raiders, leading them to the worst record in the league and throwing the most interceptions in football. And I don't think he's going to be the guy who was a 2-time Pro Bowler in 3 seasons with the Seahawks. I think it's going to fall somewhere in the middle. I don't think he's going to be a bottom 10 quarterback. I think he probably ranks 15th to 17th overall. And honestly, that's okay. I've said if the Jets offense can finish overall somewhere in that same range, 15th to 17th, the defense can be 12th to 15th. You play well on special teams. Like, that's perfectly fine with me. That shows me you're a competitive football team. That shows me that you've taken a massive step forward from last year where you had one of the worst overall offenses in the league. and one of the worst defenses in football as well. So I think his overall play is going to fall somewhere in the middle, but I really like the fit between him, Reich, Garrett Wilson. You hope he can unlock that deep ball that he showed in Seattle. As I referenced at the top of the show, he's one of the best deep passers in football those 3 seasons with the Seahawks, which not only helps Adonai Mitchell, but for those out there who are still hoping Arian Smith could be something, he is the perfect fit as well. So it's not going to be nearly as bad as Justin Fields, or at least I hope, but I don't think it's going to be as great as we saw with the Seahawks. I think it's going to fall somewhere in the middle, but at the very least, he should up the floor, as I mentioned in the article, and provide some hopeful play for us Jet fans.
It better not be anywhere close to the Justin Fields level of play. I don't know if any of us can handle another year quite like that, Connor.
Oh, I certainly can. I mean, dude, and all the long time Jet fans out there as well. I mean, 2-7, benched after 9 games, $30 million guaranteed. There's no other way to put it than it was a simple miscalculation. But Jake, the positive, and I know you've been critical of Aaron Glenn. I've been very supportive of Darren Muji as well. Them going after Geno Smith, as I mentioned earlier on, shows them altering an approach in their roster construction strategy, realizing it didn't work last year with Fields, saying, we want a quarterback who's going to add to the rushing identity, not so much the passing game. They realize they're going to need to throw the football to have success in this game, and they made that change with Geno Smith, which I
know you're not of the age to gamble, but hypothetically, if you were, and you were using PrizePicks and using that code HMA, so you put $5 in and got $50 to mess around with, it sounds like you'd take the more on both Geno Smith's passing yards number there and touchdowns thrown. I think, just full transparency, this is way too low. Unless Geno Smith gets benched after 10 games or fewer, or he gets hurt, which you can't predict, how does he not throw for at least 3,000 passing yards and at least 20 touchdowns, given the makings of this offense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm more optimistic on Geno compared to most. I did a target distribution piece for JetX where I calculated what I think Geno's stats are going to be and divvied that up among the Jets pass catchers. I'm looking at that now. I have Geno completing 65.9% of his passes for 3,900 yards, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, averaging 7.5 yards per attempt, and a 94.1 passer rating. So I am really optimistic on Geno from the passing yard standpoint, and that's mostly because if you look at his tendencies throughout his career, he throws the football among the most in the league. So since 2022, he's ranked 8th in attempts, 14th, 4th, and 18th. So if you kind of take the median of that, it's like around the 7 to 9 range. So I think when you talk about Geno, he's going to throw the football a lot this year. If he's healthy for all 17 games, which I think he will be, or somewhere in that range, I don't think he's going to suffer, at least we hope, a season-ending injury or anything like that. I think he's a safe bet to clear both marks there.
Make your own picks with PrizePicks. Again, promo code HMA. Click the link in the description. They got everything. Maybe the Yankees will score some runs today against Boston. That'd be nice. You could do a Yankees Red Sox prize.
Oh, you're complaining about the Yankees, Jake. Come on, man. Come on.
Look, I know you guys have it rough in Queens right now, but maybe the Andy Green era will get its first win later today, Connor.
You can only hope, Jake. You can only hope.
What are the odds of trading for Mac Jones?
Shout out to you, Jack. Thank you for tuning in. Not high, because I think his value is still probably the 3rd or 4th round pick, right, Jake?
The only way they would do that is if something actually happened with Geno's availability for the season, and I don't see it.
Yeah, agreed. They would need to trade for someone like him or another one of those high-end veterans who started.
Kirk Cousins. Yeah. Maybe you call the Cardinals and see what's going on with Jacoby Brissett, something like that.
Or like I don't know. I was saying J.J. McCarthy if he doesn't win the job, but that's probably a little too risky just given the lack of starting experience and how bad he was this past year. Someone like that, though, and I don't know. The thing with Geno, I'm not buying it. Like, I need to wait for more information. I'm not a law enforcement expert. I know you've had some on the show, Jake. So I'm not too privy to like the ins and outs, and I don't think any of us are. I think that's in the hands of the Davie Police Department down in Florida, but we'll see what happens. I think all we could really do right now is wait for more information, because right now the context is very vague. It's very one-sided. We don't know Geno's perspective. We don't know what went down leading up to that. We haven't really gotten any updates on the case since last week at this time. It was last Monday or Tuesday. So we'll see what happens. But it's the Jets. It's a quarterback who's involved in something like this. So, of course, it's going to make headlines and be the talk of the town in June.
Things were just too quiet, Connor. Things are just too quiet in Jetland. Justin writes in, been listening all the way through, and I'm definitely tuning in for Connor, standing in for you. He's very professional in his young career. Connor is the man. Kid is going into 10th grade, and he's more knowledgeable about the Jets than most people we could bring on to this show. So shout out to Connor. M. DeReezy says, F. Mac Jones, he's a dirty player. I don't like Mac Jones. I didn't want him when we discussed him as an option in the offseason. I don't want to trade a second-round pick for him. I didn't think it made sense. Geno makes sense. I would have preferred Cousins. I would have preferred, even trying it with Derek Carr would have been open to. But I'm okay with Geno for the year because I don't expect anything from Geno. I expect him to be better than Justin Fields. That's not saying much. That's kind of how I look at it.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.